My sister plunged me into debt, left me with no credit, and treated me like garbage. Little did she know that one day her entire life would collapse because of the same lies she created. The message arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, just as I was leaving work. Purchase approved, 3249 at Alma Boutique. I stared at the screen, uncomprehending. I had no idea what that store was. I mentally reviewed each of my purchases for the month, but nothing matched. At first, I thought it was a bank error, or worse, that someone had cloned my card. I immediately called customer service, still in a calm voice, unaware that the call would mark the beginning of a nightmare. The operator asked me to verify some recent transactions. As I read them, my stomach sank. There were charges at cafes, makeup stores, and even a small jewelry store downtown, places that seemed eerily familiar. "Do you want to disavow these charges?" the operator asked. Yes, of course. I didn't do any of those things. I hung up, feeling a pressure in my chest. I was scared, but also curious. Something about those purchases resonated with me. That night, while we were having dinner as a family, I blurted it out without thinking twice. "Does anyone know a store called Alma?" My sister looked up from her phone. "Yeah, right. It's where I bought Clara's wedding dress. Why?" My heart skipped a beat. "Because someone used my card there." She laughed lightly, as if she didn't understand the gravity of what I had just said. "Oh, it must be a bank error. Sometimes they double-check payments." I didn't answer, but my eyes never left hers. For a second, I saw something I couldn't name, a shadow, a micro-expression, and I knew something wasn't right. 2 days passed and the purchases continued. Perfumes, shoes, restaurants. My balance was dropping. My credit limit was evaporating. I called the bank again, and this time they blocked the card. They promised to investigate. That same night, I found a new bag on my sister's bed. The logo of the boutique was shining brightly, just like the bank's message. "Did you buy that?" I asked, my voice tense. "Yes," she replied disdainfully. "With what money?" "With mine. Or now I can't buy anything without your permission?" I was speechless. My hands were shaking. I had no proof, just coincidence. But something inside me screamed that it was her. I decided to observe her. I discreetly checked my bank inbox. I saw the purchase notifications one after another, all at the same time of day, 3 p.m., just as she was leaving the university. I didn't sleep that night. Between rage and fear, I imagined her face, laughing, using my money as if it were a game. I kept telling myself I must be mistaken, that she couldn't possibly be capable of something so base. But the evidence didn't lie. The final straw came that weekend when the bank called to confirm an auto loan application in my name. "Miss, we need to verify your signature on the contract." I had never applied for a loan before. I went to the bank in person. The manager showed me a copy of the document. It showed my name, my address, and my forged signature. The strokes were similar but clumsy, forced, as if someone had practiced before. I felt the air being knocked out of my lungs. My head was buzzing. I asked if I could see the date on the application. It coincided with the day my sister had gone downtown with friends. I returned home with the contract folded in my bag. My hands were shaking. When I walked in, she was laughing with Mom, watching videos on her phone. Everything seemed normal, perfect, clean. I stood in the doorway, watching the domestic scene while a storm brewed inside. "What's wrong with you?" she asked, seeing me so serious. I didn't answer. I just went up to my room. I closed the door. For the first time in my life, I felt hatred. Pure, boiling, uncontrollable. Update 1. I cried until I ran out of tears. Rage consumed me, but so did confusion. Why would she do this? What did she gain? We weren't rich, but we weren't in need either. She'd always had it easier, more attention, more understanding, more trust. I'd been working since I was 18, paying for my things, building my credit with effort. And now everything was tainted by her selfishness. I tried to think calmly, but every childhood memory, every favor, every shared laugh turned into a mockery. It wasn't just money, it was my name, my reputation, my hard work, everything. At midnight, I went down to the kitchen to drink water. I saw my sister's wallet on the table. Part of me didn't want to do it, but the other didn't trust anyone anymore. I opened my wallet. Inside, I found several receipts, including the purchase slips with my credit card number. Each one was signed with my name. The world stopped. My fingers closed over the papers, and I felt a mixture of relief and terror. It was no longer suspicions, it was a confirmed betrayal. I climbed the stairs slowly. I quietly opened her door. She was sleeping soundly, breathing peacefully as if she hadn't just shattered my life a few hours earlier. I watched her for a long minute. I wondered if she ever regretted it, if she felt guilty. Nothing on her face indicated it. She looked like a child, a perfect actress. I squeezed the receipts in my hand until they were crumbled. In that instant, I knew something inside me had broken forever. I couldn't confront her without solid evidence, but I also couldn't pretend nothing was happening. No, that time I went to bed, but I didn't sleep. My mind spun in circles, searching for a way out, a plan, some minimal way to understand. By dawn, I knew I wasn't going to let it go. I couldn't. That morning, as we drank coffee, I smiled at her for the first time in days. "You know, I think the bank problem is solved," I told her. "Oh, yes?" she replied with an innocent smile. "Yes, I'll soon know who was responsible." Her face changed for just a second, enough to confirm what I already knew. It was her. I stored that look in my memory like a promise. I was going to uncover everything, every lie, every purchase, every forged word. And when the time came, I wasn't going to yell at her or cry. I was going to make her feel exactly what I felt: helplessness, shame, and fear. Because that was the day I stopped being the confident sister and became something else. The day I understood that blood doesn't always unite, sometimes it only stains. Update 2. But when I saw my forged signature on that contract, I knew it wasn't a mistake anymore. It was a betrayal. And that betrayal had a first and last name. I didn't know what hurt more: the debt that grew every day, or the certainty that my own sister had robbed me without batting an eye. I had the receipts stashed in an envelope, each one with my name, my forged signature, and proof that I wasn't crazy. But a part of me still wanted to believe there was an explanation, that she couldn't be that cruel. I decided to confront her, without yelling, without rage. I just wanted the truth. I waited until we were home alone. She was sitting on the couch watching TV with that irritating calmness only guilty people possess. I walked over and threw the receipts onto her lap. "Explain this to me?" She looked at them for a few seconds without changing her expression. Then she shrugged. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't you dare lie to me. You're using my card." My voice trembled. "Your card? Please, I don't need your misery." I felt a pit in my stomach. She wasn't just refusing me, she was humiliating me. "Your name, your signature, your purchases, everything's here. How far will you go?" "How far do I have to go to make you stop making up nonsense?" she replied with a crooked smile. You were always the victim. No, now you want to be robbed too." The slap came out without thinking. It wasn't hard, but it was enough to break the silence. She looked at me with a mixture of surprise and hatred. "You're going to regret it," she whispered. "No one's going to believe you." And she was right. When my parents arrived that night, I tried to tell them everything. I showed them their receipts, told them about the fake credit, the purchases, the signatures. My mother looked at me sadly, my father with annoyance. "Daughter, are you sure?" he asked. "Maybe you made a mistake or someone cloned the card." Update 3. My sister, feigning tears, stood up and hugged me in front of them. "I can't believe you think that about me," she sobbed. My parents comforted her as I stood there holding the evidence, invisible. "You've been so stressed lately," my mom added. "You can't live suspecting everyone." That night, I slept silently, rage so thick it was hard to breathe. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, my own family playing the victim, as if all the evidence were a fantasy of mine. The next few days were hell. The bank called me again. I had to pay the charges while the investigation continued. My credit was frozen. I couldn't rent. I couldn't buy anything on credit. Meanwhile, my sister cruised around in her new car, bought with the fake loan. She posted photos on social media with phrases like, "Hard work always pays off." My hard work, I thought. My fruits. My name. I tried to ignore her, but every post was a stab in the back. The worst part was when she started receiving comments from friends and family praising her for her independence, for having grown so much. She responded with smiles and heartfelt thanks, while I sank further, until one day I received a letter from the bank notifying me that my debt had exceeded the limit. It wasn't just one card, they had opened 2 more accounts in my name. Everything I had built, years of work, disappeared before my eyes. I went straight to my parents' room with the letter in my hand. "Enough," I told them. "You're ruining my life." My father looked at me with a tired expression. "Stop being dramatic. Your sister wouldn't do that." "What's up with this?" I screamed, throwing the letter onto the table. "With the forged signature, with the proof I have." "There's no proof it was her," he replied, not looking me in the eye. "Of course, because they'd rather not see it," I spat through my tears. "They'd rather believe their perfect daughter is incapable of lying." My mother tried to touch my shoulder, but I pulled away. "She's always been jealous of you," I said, my voice breaking. "She can't stand it when someone surpasses her at something." My father slammed the table. "Enough. I don't want to hear anymore. You're going to apologize to your sister." "What?" My voice trembled. "Apologize for telling the truth? Yes, this family doesn't need any more drama." That night, I locked myself in my room and felt for the first time what it was like to be truly alone.